Yeah. Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So first thing, let's go to the platform that you logged in. So this is the platform that we'll be using. Okay. You will see that we have all your materials here. That is the notes. Okay. Now, what you see here, these assignments are not for you for now. Okay. So, but then the most important information that you see here, the first one, the installation of Python. Okay. And then some other videos here. Later on, if you want to go through them, you can go through them. Okay. So those videos are previous classes. If you want to watch them and see how all those classes, maybe you can get some information from them. Okay. So our modules, these are the modules, what we start from. We are going to start from module 1. Okay. So we'll go into the basics of programming. I want to find out, do you have any pre-knowledge in programming? Have you done programming before? Hello. Yes, someone.
A bit.
A bit. Okay,
Yes.
so what language? What language?
Visual was it C plus plus then, and then Java.
Oh, okay. C++ and Java. Okay. So now this is your first time of also doing
Wait,
the
quick question: is
Python.
it? Am I the only person in the class?
No, no, you are not only person. Okay. So this is the first time, right? You are doing the Python, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we will be going through the basics. Okay. So the basics, whatever that you see here, that's what we're doing. Because this is your first time of programming in Python. Now, when it comes to Java, what you know, C++, what you know, the difference is that the Python makes it easy to learn programming, unlike Java and then C++. Okay, so we will learn how to install the operating system. We'll be using the Python interpreter. But because this is your first time of doing that, I want it to be easy for you. Later on, if you want to install the Visual Studio Code, this is another editor, Visual Studio Code, and then the Python. But for now, I don't want us to move on to Visual Studio Code and installation of Python. When you watch this video, you will see that you will see how to install Visual Studio Code and Python. But I want us to focus on the basics. So we will be using an editor called Tony. So just go to Google. Just go to Google and then type Tony. Okay, so when you type Tony, you will see this. So the first one that you will install, so just click on this first link. Yes, so you can see Tony IDE for beginners. Okay, so this is the IDE for beginners. So you focus on that. So just click on this link. Then you will see the version. You download the version. You just click on that. Okay, so click on this link. Once you do that, it will open the interface for you. So at this point, you install the version that we see that here we have different versions. Down. Okay, so the one that we'll be installing is this one, .exe file. So you can see this one. So just click on it to download. So Tony hyphen 4.16.exe. So just click on this. So you can see that it's downloading. For me, I've already downloaded it, so I will stop it. Okay. Now the installation is the same. Installation is just a normal installation because it's basics. Unlike Python, that is a little bit technical. But for now, I want us to focus on the basics. Then we migrate to that side. So just do the normal installation. Just double click and follow the step-by-step process to complete. Yeah. Yeah. Are you done?
Yeah.
You are done. Okay. So now I'll open my Tony. So once you are done, you just open Tony. So I'll do Tony. So you can see mine. I just double click to open it up. Okay. So this is what you have you get. So when you open your Tony, you see this interface. Do you have that?
I do.
Okay. So now we will go into the basics of programming. Okay. So when you talk about programming, simply we are referring to a set of rules. Okay, like command. Programming is all about command. So we are going to learn how to give a command to computer system. The computer system will be anything. Okay, anything that can take a computer command. Okay, so we are going to write this a set of instructions, and the instruction comes with condition. So programming, your instruction is going to come with a condition. So when you have these conditions, and then the you put the condition together with the commands. When you put all those things together, it's termed as a software. So different commands with the conditions that you put together terms as what? A software or a program that the computer system will use. Okay. To so if for our basic understanding of computing, we see that a computer is an electronic device that would accept what inputs. So the input could be the data that you feed the computer with. And then there will be a third portion that will be processing. So the computer is going to process the data and then produce what output. So these are the three phases that we need to understand. So first thing is data capturing. So the computer will capture data from the end user. Then look at data processing. Then the computer needs to process the data and then the output data. So now computer will give out what the result. So we are going to learn how to capture data. So it could be like you'll be capturing data for external devices, okay, where you feed your system from external devices. It could be your printer, it could be your scanner, it could be your camera, it could be anything that can feed a computer system with data. And then it could be a normal typing where you could type the information into your computer system. And then you look at the process. So now the processing is where the logic comes in. So now based on the conditions that you have within your system, based on that condition, it's going to decide or determine the kind of data that you are going to extract. Okay, so these are the main idea about programming. So anytime you hear programming is simply a set of what command with a condition that a computer system would follow to execute what the process. So if you check your computer here, the operating system is made up of a series of what command, okay, and conditions. So based on that, your operating system could work on its own based on those processes. Now, each command that we are going to learn, the computer has its own language that it also understands. Okay, so we know that say computer understands zeros and ones. That is binary language. So now we are going to learn how to program so that our computer will pick that data. But we don't know how to program zeros and one, because if I'm talking what I'm saying, how do I translate that one to zeros and one that the computer understands? And that comes in the operating system. So Python has its own operating system that the computer will use. That is what we call the what we see here. If right now we want to check the Python operating system, you can see where your cursor is bringing. Can you see where the cursor is blinking there? Just type the word Python. So now we want to see the Python operating system that converts our human readable information to a machine readable. So just type Python there and hit enter. So when you hit enter, sorry, now here I'm getting some information here. The name Python is not defined. But if you see, do you have the same at your end?
Yeah.
Okay, because we've already moved that portion. We're already with the Python shell. That is why you see that. Okay, if maybe we're using we've installed Python on our own, in that one we won't get this one. But with this one, already you can see the Python shell is here. That is the interpreter, the Python interpreter. So you can see the version 3.1.0.11. That is the version I'm having. I don't know, yours might be different. What is the version?
Same.
Same. Okay. Okay. So these are the versions that we have. So now already with this one, we have access to the interpreter. So now here we could do a little bit of mathematics. I can say 3 plus 3 and hit enter. So you can see that I've gotten what? 6. I can say 6 minus 2. Okay, so now I'm interacting with Python interpreter. So now what I just typed here, it has converted it to a machine which I don't know. Later on, we will know how all those processes is going on. But for now, we don't know. But all that we know is that whatever that we type here has been converted to a machine language, which is zeros and one, and then it just brings back to us in human form for us to see the end result. Okay, so that is how this interpreter works. So now we will be dealing with the interpreter, try to understand everything. Now, this is where we can interact with the interpreter. And then if I want to write a Python script, okay, a Python script, you write, you can see this one. There is a new file. You can see here when you put your cursor before the one with the folder, you see the new. Okay, so this one you click here to open a new interface for you. So this is where you can write your Python script. So Python script is the series of commands and the condition that you will write, so that you send that one to your interpreter, and then the interpreter will what? Interpret it to what? The computer. Okay, and then the computer will work it out and send it back to the interpreter. The interpreter will give you what? The output. Okay, so now we will go through that and learn how to use this. Now this one, the interface that you see here, is where we can create a folder. So if I want to create a folder, I can just click here and then go through and create the folder. So you can see here, just click here. Now you can see I can create a new folder here. Okay, and create, or you can go to a directory like maybe on a desktop. Okay, and create a folder on your desktop. Okay, let's see my folder name. So let's do that. So you click on your desktop and then you create a new folder called PMC underscore 3. Okay, and then you just double click to select the folder. So now this folder is going to be, anytime you save a file, it will go to that process. Okay, so now I have this folder here, but you can see that for now within this folder there's no file to select. Okay, so there's no file that I can select. Okay, so you just leave that one, or I can have a new file that you can also save, but for now we are not going to save anything, but we just created the folder. Okay, so you click outside. Now when you come here, the file that we just created, this is the file. I can save this one. You can see here it's untitled. So we need to save that. So we have this icon here. You can see that save. So just click on this icon. Okay. So when you click on this icon, now we can go to our directory. I think the folder we created we did that on our desktop. So we go to desktop, just click on desktop. Now you can see PMC underscore 3, the one we just created. That is this one. So just select that. Now we can type the file name. Now every Python file should have extension. So the extension is .py extension. That shows that you are dealing with a Python file. So if I say, so our file name will be hello. So hello world. So hello world.py. That is what Python extension. Hello world.py is the Python extension. So now you can see here the file type is showing here py, pw. So now it's py that we are talking about. So if for instance I just leave this one without adding the py, automatically it will add it for me. Okay. So now I just want to enforce this .py. Then you click on save to save the file. So now you can see that I've saved my file here. So now if I want to write a script, just a simple script to print hello world. So now you can see here, this is print function. So what that this one do is that it just show the output to us. So unlike the interpreter, you are dealing directly to the interpreter. So now here you just type anything, it will produce the output for you. But for the scripting mode, you have to print the output before it will come to the interpreter. So if you do anything without printing it, it will not show the out at the output side. Okay. So now we want to just come out with a simple message. Okay. Just forget now you don't understand what is going on. We understand. Just do what I'm doing. So now just print this one. Hello world. Okay. So this hello world, you can save it. Just click on save. Now to run this file, you could see here there's another icon here called run. Okay, the green one. So once you click on that icon, run. Now it's going to run our script. So you can see here down there, I just printed what hello world at the down there where the interpreter is or the share mode. Okay, so this is how you can write a simple Python script. So now we gave a command. The command is print hello world, and then the interpreter, this command they receive as Python file. So now interpreter what can run that file for us. Okay, so I believe this is the basic information that we can get from this. Now, to start learning programming, every language has its own rule. For instance, if I want to learn English, you need to learn what? The grammar, okay? Because that is the rules that govern what? The language, English. Now, if you also want to learn Python, there is a rule that you also need to learn. So we are going to learn the rule that govern what? That Python language. Okay. So we call that one syntax. So you can see here, this is the rule that govern the language. Call. Now just put what I just placed in front the hashtag. I will explain later. Okay. So call syntax. So syntax rule. So now all that we needed is to master the syntax rule. When it comes to learning to how to program in Python, all that we needed is to master the syntax rule. So we are going to learn how to master the syntax rule. For instance, if you are speaking English, there is a rule that you need to learn. Okay, so you need to know your verbs, your tenses, and all those things. Also come to the same thing to this. Okay, it's also a language. So if you want to learn a language, the best thing is to learn the rule that govern the language. Okay. Now, in our basic understanding of computer system, before a computer can work or before a computer can keep information, it needed something. Can you guess? Before a computer can work on a file or store some information, it needed something. Can you guess?
It needs a set of instructions to.
You need a set of instructions.
Yes.
Okay. A set of instructions is also okay. But you need a command. Okay. Command 2 is okay. But another one is out. I'm also thinking about before a computer can store, it need a storage, right? If I have a computer without a hard disk, how can it work? Do you get it? It will be difficult because it needed a space. So sometimes realize that even your phone, if you consume all your memory or your hard disk space, then it will throw an error to you that frees some what space before it can what it can continue to work. Okay, so in the same way, in computing, programming, and everything, the first thing that your mind should go is the space where you can store information, because you know that the first definition is what we capture or data. So once you capture data, you need where you can keep the data. So that should be your first focus, how to capture data and how to store data. So you realize that now, because of the way technology has evolved, every phone coming has a bigger space. That is the competition. And then the next one is what? Bigger what? Memory. Because it's the memory that can make your machine run. And then the faster what? Operating system. These are the three main components. So if you are want to get, but because apart from that, another aspect that we look at is on the camera, because you need a good camera that you can take some information. But these are the basics, the four basic information about any phone before you can think about security and all those aspects. But at least, so if I have a phone and then the phone has no space, it will be difficult for me to use. Okay, now we can think about the battery and all those, but at least we are dealing with data. Okay, so I want us to focus on the data side. So now that leads us to something. Okay, so now we need to understand how can we store data. Okay, so how can we store data? So there are things that we needed to know. Okay, so that is called a variable. So we have what we call variable. Okay, so variable, as you see here, is just a label. So you could say a label that you can give to what? Your data. Okay, so now a data that is coming should have what we call data type. So that would be type of data. So you can ask yourself, what type of data am I capturing? So that is what data type. Okay, so now my variable here is where I want to store my data. And then what type of data do you want to store? Okay, if you are, for you coming from a different programming language like Java and stuff, you need to declare the type of variable and stuff. But Python has made that one easy for us. We don't need to think about the type of variable and blah blah blah. That is not our focus. Okay, so this is how we can assign data to this. So now if you see here, I have a variable. Then you can see this one equals an value. Now, the value is the type of data that you want to assign to your variable. Okay, so now this equal sign that you see here, in programming, we are not going to say equal. We mean assignment. So we call this equal sign assignment operator. Okay, so when you see this one, this equal sign that you see here, in mathematics is equal, but in programming we call it assignment operator. Okay, so now we need to assign a value to a variable. That is our storage. Okay, so variable is our storage. So we assign a value to what? A variable. So now let's think of what are the common value that you might think of. We think of what? A number as a value, right? We can think of a string like words. So words in programming, we use the term for what? String. Okay, and then we can think of boolean. So Boolean means that in programming we talk about true or false. Okay, so we want to focus on these three for now. So I'm just going to look at a number as a data type. That is a value that we can assign. So number. So number is 1. And then we look at words. So words can be what? I'm saying words is the same as string. Okay, words is the same as what? String. Okay, and then Boolean. Okay, and Boolean. So Boolean, which is also the same as what? True or false. Okay, so oh sorry. True or false. So these ones are what we'll be focusing now. For now, just for you to get a basic understanding. So now, in terms of numbers, numbers can also be categorized into maybe 3 components. Okay, but for now, we will focus on basic 2. So what can you think of a number? What type of number comes in mind from mathematics?
Even
From mathematics.
even numbers.
Okay, even numbers. So mathematics, we think about what? Integer and what? Decimal, right? Like fractions are decimal. So we think about integer. Integer means whole number, right? Anything whole. Okay, so our number type, we think about a whole, which is integer in programming. Okay, and then we think about a decimal or fraction decimal, which is we call it float. So the data type that we will look at. So let's look at the data type under number data type. Okay, under number data type, we will look at what? Integer. So short form is int. This is the short form for integer is int. Okay, int, int. Okay, and then we look at decimal, and I say the decimal is what? Float. Okay, so these are the floats and then integer. Okay, so this what got to do with the number. So now if I want to declare, let's say, a variable, now my variable could be maybe number 1, then assign it to what? This 1. So the moment I assign 1 to number 1, what does it imply? What does it imply? So it means that now 1 is inside what? Number 1. So anytime I call number 1, I'm supposed to see what? 1. So now let's use the interpreter here. This one, we don't need to print anything. So we can interact here directly. So now I'll come here and have number underscore 1. Okay, and assign it to 1. So now anytime I call number underscore 1, that is my storage. So you realize that what came is what? 1. Okay, if I change this, you can change the value. So the same way, number underscore 1, if I run out, change this 1 to 2, and I call number underscore 1, what do you think will come out? 2. Okay, so now if I come here and I see number underscore 1, then you will see that 2 will come out. So this is how you assign a value to a variable. Now, the next one is we can have number underscore 2. Okay, and then I will assign another value, which is 4.5. Okay, so once I call, oh sorry, I want to do 2. Okay, so if I call this one number underscore 2, what are you expecting? 4.6. Okay, so now you can see that 4.6 will come out. But then the moment you assign this one, Python will automatically know type of data. As you can see here, we started with what? A variable. That is the storage. Now, the data qualify what? The type of what? The value that we have here qualify the type of what? Storage. So for instance, if I assign a different one to the same thing, it means the same thing. So of course, that's why we are saying that the variable here is just a label. That is actually telling us the content that we have in that variable. If you go to a store or a grocery store, you will see that every content there's a label. Once you check the label and see what you have inside. Okay, so it's the same thing. So you see the naming here, it's just what? A label. Okay, that's actually describing what? The type of value that is inside. Okay, so now to see the data type, as you can see here, data type, we use this one, the type function. So this is the type function. Now this is already written there called type function, will actually tell us the type of what data that we've assigned. So for now, we want to check the variable number underscore 1. What is the type of data we have here? Now you can see that here came as what? Float. Okay, because I've assigned float here and float there. Okay, so that's why float came in. Now if I go back and check number underscore 2, what do you think will come out? The same float, right? Because this one, you can see that I just assigned the same value. So you can see the same float. So now if I want a string, or if I want an integer, I just need to change what? The value. But this one is just what? A label. So let's go to number underscore 1 here. And then I will just change this one to 4. So now if I come here and check for 1, what do you think will come out? What do you think will come out?
Integer.
Integer. Do you get it? Now you can see integer. So now the variable that you see here is just what? A label. But actually what determines the label is the value. Okay, is the value. So now we understand, okay, now this is how we'll be able to assign what? A value to what? A variable. Now if I want to program, you will not program a number, you will need the variable to do your programming, because now that is your storage. So in the same way, if I want to pull data, you pick your pen drive, right, and you pull the data. Okay, so in the same way, if you need a storage on your hard disk, that is where you can pull what? Your storage on your hard disk. Okay, so now we've gotten the understanding of the first data type, which is what? A number data type. So within the number data type, we know that we have what? Integer and what? A float, which is decimal. There are others which is complex, but for now we are starting. I don't want you to get too complex. Complex deal with a number and what? The alphabet all together, but I don't want us to go there. For now, just have it that there's another one called complex, but let's keep the basics. Okay, so now that we've gotten, let's look at another data type. I made mention that there's another data type like what? A string. Okay, and in programming, so I can have something like first underscore name. Okay, so first underscore name. Now string, anything within a quote is a string. Now take this is a rule. Anything within a quote, so the quotes we can have a single quote or a double quote. So now let me see this. These are the quotes that we have. Let's comment this. So anything within the quote is what? It's a string. Anything. Anything within the quote. So when you have something within the quote, so either a single or double quote, whether a single or double quote, okay, we even have a triple quote, okay. So it's a string or triple quote. So these are strings. So now this is how it goes. So now if I have something here, let's see this. If you have a number within this is a number. So if you have a number within a quote, it's no longer a number, but become what? A string. Okay, so that is the basic understanding of a string. So now let's see here. I have a name. So now first name, now first underscore name, and then I'll assign it to this. So that will be okay. So this one is what? A string. Okay. So now if I want to check the data type, now you can see here, I will do another one. Let's say last name. And then I will assign this one to a quote, but inside the quote, I will just place in 2. Now, even though it's 2 here, if I check the type of data, now the first one, first underscore name, will give us what do you expect? What do you expect? What data type? String, right? Yeah, because we say that anything within what? A quotes, either single or this is what? It's a string. Okay, it's a string. Okay, so now that's what it means. So now here, if I run this code, you see that I have str. That's the short for string. Okay, so that's the short for string. If I call the last name, what do you think will come out? What do you think? String, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So that will be string because anything within a quote, anything. So if you have a number or whatever within a quote, once it's within a quote, terms as what? A string. So the next point that we need to, the next data type we need to look at the Boolean. And I made mention that Boolean is what? True or what? False. So now I can start a Boolean like this. Always a Boolean value start with is. So now we see that is May. And then I will give what? True. That is a Boolean. Is underscore female. And I can give false. Okay. Now if I want to check my data type, what do you expect? So now let's say is underscore May. So now the type is what? Bool. Okay. If I place this one within the quotes, what should be the data type? String. Okay. So
String.
now if I check the type here, you could see that is underscore may. Now you could see here come as what a string, because we say that anything within what a quote is what a string. So now these are the basic data type that we have. Okay, we will build upon it, but I just want us to settle on the basics. So this is how you assign a value to what a variable. So your value will determine the type of what variable that you have. I hope that is clear.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So now let's continue. So based on this, we have what we call, now we are learning the rules. So the first rule is learning how to assign a value to a variable. So now we know how to assign a value to a variable by using what the assignment operator. So your value, then use the assignment operator to assign that value to what the variable. Okay. Now you can see that variable naming, there's a convention for variable naming. Now you realize how I'm naming my variable. Maybe you could not, if you don't know the convention, you could have labeled your variable in different way and it throw an error. So we look at variable naming. Okay, so now we understand what a variable means. We know what a data type, what a data is. Now let's look at how do we label our variable. So variable name. So now we look at this one here. Let's see that if you have this, the first rule is that you cannot start a variable name with a number. You cannot start a variable naming with a number in front. Okay, so if I have a variable name with a number in front to throw an error. So let's say, for instance, I can say number. Let me start with this one here. I'm still using the interpreter so that we don't need to print anything. So now I say that one number assigned to 1. I hope you could see that it has highlighted the 1. Do you see it? If you can see, it just using like the same color with what the value. Okay, now when you run this code to throw an error, and you can see here, what is the error message? What is the error? You can see here is what syntax what error, and I made mention of syntax is what the rule that govern what the Python programming language. So now we violated the one of the rule. Okay, so now once you violated the rule, it throws what syntax what error, and one rule says that we cannot start what a variable naming with a number in front. So now you can see here, can you see this ampersand sign there where the 1 is? Okay, showing that this is where the error is. Okay, so now we need to change that. Okay, I hope that is clear. Okay, so the next rule is we cannot also name a variable that contain maybe 2 different words with a space. Now we realize that when I started with maybe first name, now I can see that first name is just 2 words. Okay, if I say first name with a space like this. Now here you could see that it will also throw an error. Now you can see that syntax what error. Then it say that invalid what syntax. Okay, invalid syntax. So now here it's telling us that you can see here it's pointing on the name. So actually it's supposed to be joined. There shouldn't be a space. So after this one, there shouldn't be space. So now you see where error is. So now we have to work on that. So now we cannot have a space between that. So now to solve this one, if I'm not going to have a space, another rule is also states that you cannot also what have what hyphen. So I want to separate these two words. I can't have what hyphen. The first one, realize that the syntax error that we got from having a number in front came with say invalid what decimal what literal. So now it picks one as this as a number. So that's why it's telling us the invalid what decimal literal. Then the next one is what invalid syntax. Okay, so that is it. So now let's use hyphen. So now I'm going to use hyphen here and run this code. You could see that it threw another syntax error and it said I cannot what assign what to expression here. Now it's seeing that this hyphen here is just thinking like maybe you wanted to write what equal. This is how we say equal to in programming, the two equal sign, this equal to, or instead of what assign, or maybe I just want to write assign. We're just thinking for us, but that is not what we mean. So it means that you cannot what use or hyphen. So the best way to do this, if I want to actually use this to separate the two words, is to use this. So now we know the don'ts, right? So the first one, we can't start what a variable name with a number. The next one is what we cannot also what use what. Okay, and what will be the next one that we've captured? So now we actually know the two. We can't leave a space, and then we can also leave what hyphen. Now let's move on to the next rule. We can also use a special character in our variable naming. So when we talk about special characters like hashtag, now we already know that we cannot have the at. So let's see. Instead of here, I can say at, first at name. Now you can't use this special character. So when you do this, either starting in front or back, so you can see that through an error. Okay, it throw an error again because we can't use a special character. I can decide to start it with at the back. Let's see that I want to start a special character like $sign. Okay, then if you see that it's through another error. Okay, so all this one tells us that we cannot start naming a variable. So special character will be the percentage sign, the $sign, the hashtag, all are what brackets, and all those things are what special characters. So you cannot add them in your variable naming. So these are the don'ts. So first thing is you can't start with what a number in front. The next one, you can't leave a space within what a two separate words. Okay, we cannot also use what hyphen, and then we cannot also add what special characters in our variable naming. So these are the don'ts. So let's look at the do's, what we can do. Okay, so now if I want to name a variable like the one I just did, it has two words, two separate words. So just to differentiate that, I'm talking about first and then name. Okay, so you could either do this first underscore. So the underscore will separate what the first from the name. So this one is accepted. So if you want to separate the two words, you can either use the underscore. So now here, if I run this code, now you will see that I did not receive any error. So this one is what acceptable. Now the same way, you will also, instead of using the underscore, you can decide to use what name like this. So first name. So the name start with a capital. So in that one too is accepted. So that differentiate the two words. All the agenda is to differentiate what that these are the two separate words, not one word. Okay, but for me, I always prefer the underscore than using the capital. Okay, this one makes it clear. Okay, so these are the naming convention for that. Let's look at another do's what we could. So maybe I want to add a number. You already know that we cannot start a variable naming with a number in front, but you could have a number maybe have at the end or even in the middle, depending on what exactly you want to do. Okay, so now I can do this. I can do this. So I can say that number underscore 1, or I can even say number 1. But because I just want to make everything clear that I'm dealing with a number and 1, this one is not too clear. So I won't do this. But if you do this one, it's also okay. But then you realize that it's not too clear. So to make it too clear that I'm talking about number 1, can do this number underscore 1. Okay, so this one is accepted. But the moment the number comes in front, it's not accepted. Okay, so that is the next do's that you can add to your variable naming convention. Okay, so if I have this one, it also means the same thing. Okay, I hope it's clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. And the next point is your variable naming should always be in small letters at the starting point. So when you are naming your variable, you don't name your variable by starting with the capital letter. Make sure the beginning of any variable should start with what? A small letter. Okay. The beginning of any variable naming should start with what? A small letter. Now you could have a double variable declaration in one line. So for instance, I can say that number underscore 1, comma, number underscore 2, comma, number underscore 3, and then I will assign it to maybe 1, 2.5 or 2.4. Then let's say true. Now what it means is that instead of me declaring each one, I can do everything on just one line. So the first one will be assigned to value what? 1. And then the next one, 2.4, will be assigned to what? Variable what? 2. And then this one will be assigned. But you realize that each one is coming with a different data, right? So when you check here, and you check number underscore 1, you could see that here you got 1, number underscore 2, you got what? 2.4, and number underscore what? 3 also give us what? 2. I hope it's clear. So now you could declare your variable in this format. But always, anytime you declare a variable, make sure you assign it. You cannot declare a variable like this, number underscore 4, and then you leave it like that. Python will throw an error. Why? Why do you think that Python will throw an error? If I do something like this without assigning the value. Why? Yeah, because Python, this is just a label, but what makes the whole thing a variable, a data type is the value that goes in. So if you do something like this to throw an error, unless you assign what a value to it. So now you can see here, name what error, if you can see here, name error, and then it tell us what name 4 is not what defined. Do you see that? So only way your name could be accepted as a defined name is by assigning what a value to it. So if you've not assigned any value to this, then it will see it as what you've not defined your name. Okay, so now to resolve this, I need to assign what I need to assign a value to that. Okay, so that is this. So I'll come here and then I can assign a value to this, let's say 5. So now if I call the name number underscore 4, then I'm expecting the value. I hope it's clear. Okay, so have you gotten the basic understanding now? Okay, so that is the basic understanding. Now that we've been able to learn how to capture data, so that is another form of capturing data. We'll be able to learn how to assign the data to a variable. Now ask yourself, what will be the next? From the basic definition, what we went through, we could say that computer what does something. It capture data, process. So now we can process the data that we've captured, right? So to process the data, that's where we could use the arithmetic operation. So when we talk about arithmetic operation, it could be what? Addition, subtraction, multiplications, and stuff. So we could now decide that, okay, now we are going to add the numbers, we are going to multiply, we are going to do whatever that we want. So we are still with the number data type. Okay, we are still with the number data type. So now let's do a simple processing. So now we could have, you could see that I have, we declare some numbers here. Okay, we can do a simple processing here. So to do a simple processing, I want to use here. Okay, so we have number 1. So number 1, I want to declare another number here for number underscore 2. Okay, now I can now do what we call process. So to do a process, what I need to do is that we are going to add this sign plus subtraction, division sign, okay, and this one, okay, and then this one, okay. Now let me explain this, and then the last one is this one. Okay, so now these are what? Addition. So we call this one arithmetic operations. So arithmetic operation is that we can perform an operation with this information that we have here. Okay, so now to do that, maybe I can start with add. So now here is add. So in add, I can see that I declare another variable called what? Maybe addition. And then I will assign it to what? Some operation. So operation will be number underscore 1 plus number underscore 2. I hope this one is clear. So to see where? Yeah, sorry. Okay. So now to see the output, we will do what? Print. So I'm saying that anytime you are writing a script, so this is a script. This one is a script. A script is your code that you are writing. So here I'm now writing a code. I'm writing Python scripts or Python code. But here I'm interacting with what? The Python interpreter. So in the interpreter, you don't need to print. It will give you the output. But here, now that we want to see the output, so what output do we want to see from this code? Which of the output are we looking for? Addition. Okay, so now you put your addition here. Okay, so when we run this code, you can see the run here. So I'll come here and click on run. Now you will see that it throws some error for us. Okay, so now we check our code. It's saying that invalid word syntax. So now we violated some rule somewhere. You can see here I have the space, but I did not even assign the value to it. So number underscore 2. Okay, then I'll come here and then give the value, let's see, 4. Okay, so now you can go back and run the code again. Do you see that I have what? 5. Can you see it? Okay, so this is how you capture data. So you realize that we've captured data and then we process the data and then we've gotten what the output. So these are the 3 processes. Anything, if you get to a complex, it's still the same process that we go through. So now let's look at one thing. Now if you see here, maybe I want to give a description to what is coming out, just 5. So I can just give a description and see that, okay, addition. So now you can see that anything within a string, so I can say that maybe add. So add equals to this, and then you bring your comma. Okay, so once you run this code, you're just going to add 5. Okay, so now let's move on to another thing. What's another arithmetic operation we know is what? Subtraction. So we could also do the same thing. So the same code that we have here, I could just copy this code because it's going to be the same thing, but just change the wording down there. So now I can come here and put this one here and see subtract. So now here I'll change the addition to what? So when I get here, what are we printing? Subtract, right? Okay, so now we change the sign to minus. So now you will see this is the point that we are subtracting this number from. So once you run this code, it's going to do the same thing. So now you will see that we've gotten what? Minus 3 because of what? 4. Okay, so now I hope this one is clear. So we could do another arithmetic operation, which is what? Division. So we just change this side, the variable, to division, and then here is the division sign. Okay, so here will be what? And then we change here to division. Okay, so once you run this code, also going to give us what? The output. Okay, now the next one we have to look at is this. Now this sign here, we call this one module. You see this one. This is what module. Module simply means remainder. Okay, remainder. Modulo means what? Remainder. So in this case, we are only interested in the remainder, but not anything apart from remainder. Okay, so now what you see, anytime you see this sign means what? Modulo. Modulo simply means what? Remainder. So now we can write the same line of code down there. So here I'll change here to modulo. So modulo, and then I'll use the modulo sign. Or you could use a remainder. So here I will change here to re. So or you could just use the sign. Okay, so this actually means you are dealing with modulo. Okay, so instead of here I will put in the modulo. Okay, so once you run this code, you see now we have what? 1. Okay, which means that when we have here, what are we having here? The number was what? Number 1 is, what was the value for number 1? The value for number 1 was, 1, right? And the
Yeah.
number 2 was what? 4. And then the remainder is 1. Why? It means that 4 people are sharing what? 1 item. What will be the remainder? It means still remainder, because remainder will be 1. None of them will get anything. Okay, so it will be remainder 1. That's what it means. So anytime the divisor is bigger than, then you see that you just take the same thing. Okay, so if here I just pick here, instead of 1, I will now going to change this 1 to 4. Okay, so if I have 4 here and then I have 1 here, what do you think the modulo will be? Okay, so when you check, the modulo is 0. Why? Yeah, there will not be any remainder, because 1 person sharing 4 items, you take all, there will not be any what? Remainder. Okay, so that is modulo. Okay, so modulo deal with what? Remainder. Okay, and then the next one is what we call floor division. The floor division means that you just don't care about what the remainder decimal points. So it could be certain when you are doing something, you are not interested in the decimal point. So in that case, we use what we call floor division. Okay. So now we have this one where 2 divisions are called the floor division. So the floor division here actually do not think about the remainder. So here you are only interested in the integer, that is the whole number. Okay. So you are only interested in the whole number here. So in that case, that's what we call the floor division. So in that case, you are only looking at the whole number that is coming here. So if I change here to floor, okay. So when you run this code, let's put a number here. So now I'll change here to, let's say, 5. So now I have 5 and 4. So we run this code. Okay. The spelling, so it's not the same. So now floor division and then what I just typed in, you can see. Okay. So now we run the code again. So one thing is you have to know that Python is case sensitive. So because the name error, it means that the name, what I'm just typing, it doesn't correspond. So that's what get name error. So I need to check. It's the same as you declaring a variable, if not assign a value to it, it will come at the same as your name error. So anytime you see name error, you check that, hey, maybe what you are just, if not assign any values, that is what it will come. Okay. So now we run this code here. Now you can see here is 0. Okay, is 0 here. Okay, so that is what will come out. If I change here to I have floor division, which is 1. So I'll change the 1 to, let's see. But why do you think it came at 0? Any idea? Because when you are dividing 4 by 5, then we are going to get a decimal. Okay, so we are not interested in decimal, so to give you what? 0. Okay, so that could be 0 point something, but we don't want the point something, so that one to just give us what? The 0. So that's why you saw that. So now if you come here, you can see that we have 2. Okay, that is 10. I made this one 10. Okay, so these are simple operations that we will do about uh, the Python. I think we've covered a lot today. Okay, so based on what we've done, you just try your hands on them. Okay, I did recorded it as well, so I'll send the recorded version to you. You try your hands on them, try and go over them and see the information. What I have on the platform, you can still read them, but just that I'm trying to do the summary for you, just for you to get the basics. Once you get the understanding, that we can quickly move on to these ones. Okay, so do you have any question? What we've done so far? If there's any question. Hello. Hello.
No question, please.
No question. Okay, so thank you very much. So when are we meeting? When our next class?
That should be let me check. I think it's Wednesday and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
So we are meeting tomorrow.
Yes, please.
Okay. 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 So see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.